It is a pleasure and a responsibility to give you an accountability report on the work that you do every year. This year particularly important because of the era in which we are all now working. The title of my presentation today is what will be the history of our future. Our members at Self-Help in New York had a great theme a couple of years ago, and it was this: our past propels us forward. It conveys how 4 generations of values and mission are being transformed into contemporary programs at Self-Help. As we plan our golden anniversary in 2 years, I'm reading and reflecting on our history. There are very few of the founders that are still alive, and Tom Jenkins is here. He's one of those, and this is his 48th straight annual meeting. So, Judge Jenkins, Howard Washburn sent me a lot of material. He was at Ardent House, could not be here. But the more I read, the more I realize that our history propels us forward. It all began at Ardent House in New York in 1961. 99 professionals met there to explore the prospect of creating this association. Based on a consultant report written by a Dr. Robert Morris of Brandeis, the Ardent House founding mothers and fathers discussed history, values, and principles. Here's some selected quotes and paraphrases from that report. The nonprofit Home for the Aged was once considered the basic social resource for the aged when individual and family resources failed. That we all have a sense of responsibility to the community. That the strengths of the winds of change are so powerful that existing institutions must change in the face of uncertainties, with the admonition that no firm outlines about the status of these institutions can be presented with any assurance. Sound familiar? It said that the elderly will have the economic power to choose where and how they live in some independent form. The elderly will be driven by, listen to this, a search for privacy and a yearning to retain the familiar. The report said that we would serve more people in independent settings, yet increased numbers of people with disabilities, including the mentally ill, would require great attention from us. It said that we would need to pay special attention to the flow between home and hospital so that seniors would not be subject to arbitrary eligibility processes instead of their need. The Ardent House report predicted development of multi-purpose centers that include all the various options with the added responsibility for many other services to the elderly outside of an institution. It said that many homes would change their names. 1961. The report predicted we would encounter competition from many directions, confusion about institutional versus non-institutional services, anxiety about accreditation and licensing, and the extent of government control. We would face backward-looking boards and staffs who hope to recapture the past, skeptical health and welfare planners, reluctant contributors, and not the least, our own self-doubt that we display often a lack of confidence in the use of our own knowledge. The report went on to say that none of these problems are insurmountable. It quoted, "Boards do learn," and that each crisis is an opportunity, and that the elderly present very great unmet needs for housing at low cost, for nursing and attendant care, for rehabilitation, and for opportunities for constructive living. Then the author of the Ardent House report asked our founders this basic question: can we be sufficiently flexible and imaginative to develop requisite programs and services? In bold headlines. The report concludes that this body, now called AAHSA, be created to, quote, provide a significant medium through which these major issues of our society can be evaluated, solutions tested, and programs and policy supported. Subsequently, our founding documents reflect the creation of a national membership organization of voluntary nonprofit and government homes for the aged. It provides its members a means of identifying and solving problems of mutual concern, and that protects and advances the interests of the people you serve. So let our future propel us forward to today and project into the next decade. And more importantly, what are the basic questions that we now face? Our mission is creating the future of aging services. How effective are we as a significant medium to evaluate the major issues of our society, test those solutions, and develop programs based on that mission statement? Certainly the creation of the Institute for the Future of Aging Services, the development of CAST, have created a new type of medium in which our members, in collaboration with business, academia, government, and foundations, have tested things like culture change, housing with services models, technology applications, financing methods. Evaluation of major issues in our society has produced blue ribbon thought leadership bodies like our financing cabinet, whose work today is at the center of healthcare reform. And I hope you're proud of the prominent leadership role that you have played in that development. We've become better thinking partners with others to address quality. Advancing excellence is a child of Quality First, in collaboration with consumers, provider groups, professionals, government, and the Commonwealth Fund. In fact, advancing excellence holds the best promise today for showing that we can actually create quality improvement in nursing homes. Members provided leadership to the creation of advancing excellence, along with others. Back in 2002, your board declared this the era of leadership. We concluded that we have no problem that leadership could not solve. We've brought you the best of leadership thinking through the use of best concepts and speakers and gurus that we can find anywhere. We're overcoming our, quote, lack of confidence in the use of our own knowledge and our self-doubt as leaders. Your commitment to shared learning is well known and exemplary. Leadership AAHSA and similar programs in our states are being embraced with enthusiasm and supported by you in so many ways. In fact, the key to leadership development is your personal commitment to colleagueship, to mentoring, to shared learning with each other in all of these occasions. Our advocacy is focused on a fundamental advocacy agenda around 5 big ideas, almost all of which were anticipated by our founders. These are transformational ideas. Advocacy for the right policy for the right reasons is the #1 priority that we have together. And you say it over and over again in all of the studies we do around surveys and marketing and branding for the future. What our founders called constructive living and the quest for the familiar, we now call culture change. The confusion about institutional versus non-institutional roles is being embraced by most of us. It is not an either or, but a both and, depending on the needs and preferences of the people we serve. It is a matter of balance and mix. Public policy is certainly beginning to bend toward that balance, though all of our services are still underfunded. The CCRC and the comprehensive campuses abound as fulfillment of the vision of multipurpose centers. In a decade, many of you will be centers for healthy aging as the term retirement fades into the sunset. The search for privacy and a yearning to retain the familiar, though, got lost somewhere along the way as we created nursing homes as junior hospitals with shared rooms and clinical environments in a regulation and reimbursement system not often friendly to what we do. Our anxiety about all of that, as predicted by our founders, is well-founded. We've learned that regulation in and of itself does not produce quality. It produces at best compliance with regulation. People who have the time to understand needs, train each other, implement best practices, people produce quality. Regulations don't. We've gotten into inadequate attention to what the Ardent House highlighted. You know that's true. We've given inadequate attention to what the Ardent House founders talked about, the flow between hospital and home. Siloed business models, perverse reimbursement incentives, poor care coordination have created transfers based on the arbitrary instead of the needs of people. Studies now show that the human and financial consequences are great because our fragmented system doesn't handle transitions well. The hope for improvement are actually found in concepts like PACE and hospice and CCRCs and some Medicare Advantage programs that many of us are involved in. Not arbitrary eligibility. We will be co-founding shortly a national quality initiative in collaboration with some people at the Brookings Institution and chaired by a highly respected expert to address quality improvement in transitions to minimize that difficulty for the people we serve. Many of you will be asked to participate in that. Even less attention has been paid to the mentally ill elderly, as the founders recognized, certainly beyond the concepts of dementia. Too much loosely prescribed medication, too little geriatric psychiatry, too little emphasis on therapeutic relationship training. With the knowledge that life depression is severe in the elderly, especially men, we still largely ignore that need. Mental illness is not a character flaw, and like many other illnesses, it does not cure itself. We have much work to do on that frontier. The founders outline our responsibility to the community, they said. We still have it, believe me. We enjoy public support through donors and government, though they're skeptical at times and reluctant. But many of you prove motivations every single day, and those good deeds are too often lights under a bushel. Make no mistake, however, that the public eye is on us more than ever to justify the tax benefits, the reputation, and the philanthropy that we enjoy. Stewardship is front and center in everything that we do. Our story about responsibility must be made clear, and we must tell it more boldly. The founders were right about the strong winds of change and the uncertainty. None of us has a clear path or assurance of success. We never have. Yet the history shows that we not only survive, but we change, we transform, we thrive. You have served your communities on average 3 to 4 generations, some much longer. Yes, you have changed your names and your business plans to reflect changing needs. You always have. We know we need now innovative sources of capital. Capital is as fragmented as the service delivery system. We've formed a thought leadership group to make recommendations to policymakers and businesses about a rational approach to capital. We are a good risk. We use capital well. We pay our debts. We stand the test of time. Yes, AAHSA's founders dazzle us with their prophetic insights about all these things. And by all measures, AAHSA, you have 48 years of success. Yet we are more than homes and services now. Just like at the time we were more than homes for the aged. The founders said we're a medium for innovation to benefit the people we serve. So, what is that brand? What should we call ourselves as we look to the future? Many of you have gone through the exercise of branding and identity, and now your AAHSA board, staff, state leadership, both lay and professional, are addressing our brand for the future. We've used surveys, discussion groups involving state associations and their leaders, and our brand is about values, innovation, advocacy for policies and programs that reinforce those values. The values emanate from the voluntary, mission-driven sector of every community for the benefit of the people you serve. As our founder said, in creating opportunities for constructive living. Next year, we will announce our brand plan and our brand promise and even a possible new name. Our good friend and colleague Ken Duran, reflecting on the aging process and our missions and AAHSA's role in our field, recently reflected to me as we were talking about these very issues. He said, you know, this old age is not only worthwhile, but it is meant to be. Therefore, it is our responsibility to help people get the most out of it. What an interesting way to conceptualize what you do for society. Helping people get the most out of the aging experience. That's our brand. Yes, our future propels us forward. So I now have these questions for us to ponder at this pivotal time in our history. The first one is, how do we stay focused on the best interests of the people we serve in the midst of today's pressures that oftentimes push us otherwise? Second question I have for us, how do we communicate to the world that old age is not only worthwhile, but it is meant to be in a culture that wants to deny this process? The third question I have for us to ponder, how do we define our work together as mediums of innovation, flexible and imaginative, to help people get the most out of the aging experience, even when that experience is very, very difficult, as it often is, especially late in life? 4, how do all of us create a value proposition with consumers and policymakers to demonstrate we are trusted providers of essential services that society must have and is willing to pay for adequately? We've got some big work to do around that value proposition. And the final question is, are you willing to advocate? Not just serve, but are you willing to go to bat for the right policy, for the right reasons, on an aggressive basis? The best evidence we can offer that answers to each of these questions positively is the extent to which we can show we are changing lives. Yes, your association is strong, and we can be much more so. People expect that out of us. I have the greatest job in the world because I work with people like you that are committed to changing lives. And if there's anything we can do for you, call on us. Thank you for your support. God bless. It's challenging times, and we'll lead. Take care.
I tell you, Larry is doing a terrific job for us, and this year especially, it's just got a really an honor to be working with you.
Thank you, Tom. Same here. Same here.
This has been an amazing year for AAHSA with